There's a new player in the Jacksonville bar scene with a unique take on drinking games. What is it? Northeast Florida's first game bar, a place where you can have a drink, grab a bite, and sit down to a match with a few friends on the latest entertainment system.
Stay out!
It's called Good Luck, Have Fun. It's a greeting of goodwill that gamers exchange before a match, and it's at the heart of what the game bar is all about. This unusual bar is set up inside of Chicago Pizza at the Jacksonville Landing. It has couches, TVs, and gaming computers that customers can play while they eat, drink, and socialize with friends. Landon Paul, the general manager, says that it's all about the community.
It's the same thing as a sports bar. You have your niche, the sports aspect of it, watching games, but what are you selling to the customer? What are you providing for them? Socializing, an atmosphere to hang out with people in, food and drink. And so basically it's the same concept.
Paul says that working with Chicago Pizza owner Cliff Camastro and other members of Jacksonville's gaming community has been key to the establishment of GLHF. He says that his team hopes to attract a previously underserviced community by providing a modern spin on a classic social space that promotes gaming culture.
We allow that atmosphere to, you don't just have to come here and, rent time to play on a PC or play an Xbox with your friends or something like that. You could also just come up here, have a drink, get some dinner, and, watch an E-League event that we're streaming on one of the
Customers of the game bar say that it's the atmosphere and variety of games that stand out to them when they go in.
The amount of games that they have, way more than I thought there would be. Like I come in and I see computers everywhere and I see the TV set up and they're just ready to go. Oh, yes.
It's a cool environment to interact with people that you have something in common with. Also, just getting a chance to play, games you've never played or games that you haven't played since you were a kid, I think is really the coolest part about it.
Paul says that his goal is to create an environment for people that defies the stereotype of gamers as antisocial homebodies by encouraging people to come out and enjoy games in a new way. Michael Dixon, Multimedia Storytelling.
The game bar is located in the rear of Chicago Pizza at the Jacksonville Landing. See www.glhfgamebar.com for events and other details.
With new technology coming out and off-the-chart video games being released to the public like Halo Wars 2 and Mass Effect, one question still stands. Is there really such a thing as being addicted to playing video games? Multimedia journalist Nora Zachariah finds out more.
The University of North Florida's Game Room is a hotspot for the student body, offering gaming systems, pool tables, and more. Delilah Campos is a sophomore at UNF and is offering to share her thoughts on the topic of video game addictions.
I don't think it's not necessarily 100% a myth. I think there are some cases about it, and some people kind of just push it out like, oh, it's really bad. But for the most part, I think most of us know it's in moderation, so it's pretty easy to I guess live life and play the video games. So we just mostly use time management on it. So I guess not a lot of people actually have an addiction to it.
For some, gaming addiction isn't a serious problem, but professionals say that addiction leads to poor actions, which should be treated if severe.
Psychiatrist Dr. Michael Sorna is an addiction specialist. He says that addiction takes place in a specific part of the brain that rewards behavior.
Addictive disorders could be summarized as a constellation of symptoms that consist of use despite known consequences. So if a person continues to use a substance despite dysfunction, then we would consider that they have an addictive disorder. And so there is no such thing as video game addiction. That is not a precise term. It's not even a clinical term. In fact, there is no diagnosis for addiction to video games within our DSM-5, our most recent manual that defines mental illnesses and how we stratify those.
While some experts say video gaming addiction isn't a serious matter, other experts say that symptoms of video game addiction may include feeling restlessness when unable to play and isolation from others in order to spend more time gaming. Amelia Catania is a senior at UNF and talks to us about friends and family who share this obsession for video games.
I don't think video game addiction is an actual addiction. I feel like it might be more of an obsession because I feel like there's more serious addictions out there, such as alcoholism or gambling. I know a few people who love video games and obsess over it, but if they could choose to go out with friends or go and play video games, they're going to choose to hang out with friends. So I don't really think it's an addiction.
The American Academy of Pediatrics recognizes exposure to violence in media, including television, movies, music, and video games, as a significant risk to the health of children and adolescents. South Korea is even proposing a game addiction law that would declare video gaming as an addictive substance. Nora Zachariah, Multimedia Storytelling.
To all the viewers at home who know someone or even in the situation of understanding more on video game addiction, please visit www.psychguides.com for more information.
If you have video game consoles collecting dust in the closet, they just might be worth something. Video games have come a long way since the early days of Game Boy Color and Nintendo 64, but many of those old games are still popular today. Our photojournalist, Tierney Harvey, spoke with local gamers about changes in gaming over the years and what value they see in retro games.
With advances in technology and huge improvements in graphics, it's easy to think old gaming systems like the 20-year-old Nintendo 64 would quickly become obsolete. Some gamers are holding on to their old consoles or even paying to buy them. An internet search shows Nintendo 64 consoles often sell for as much as $100. Gamers like Blaine Tillis say that many of the games are still fun today.
I mean, they're classics. A lot of the games are just classics. Sometimes just for old time's sakes, I might want to run through an old classic, an old favorite game again.
I know for like the GameCube, I still have one of those. You can play a lot of the games on the Wii, but now with the Wii U and the Switch, you're not able to play those games on there anymore. So I definitely like keeping my GameCube for the reason I can play like Sonic Battle Adventure 2. Love that game. It's not the best game, but for nostalgic reasons, it's one of my favorites.
When comparing retro games with recent releases, the most obvious change is the graphics. Chelsea Thomas says the high-quality graphics of new game systems exceed even more recent consoles like the Xbox 360, first released in 2005. She said with the 360, you can tell it was animated. Now the games almost look real.
The main difference is going to be like graphic-wise. Graphics have come a long way. Instead of like polygons having, Tomb Raider look like a triangle person, to now you can actually look like you can touch her and feel the textures on her skin.
Despite dated graphics and technology, there's still interest in these games. The Jacksonville shop, Video Game Rescue, hosts weekly Smash Brothers tournaments that include the GameCube edition, a game that came out over 15 years ago. Some gamers say it's not all nostalgia, and in some cases, the games just hold up over time.
That's the telling sign of a great game, is if it doesn't rely on the technology of the day to be a great game. If it's still fun to play, then it was a well-designed game.
The quality of the graphics might be the most obvious change, but there are other differences between retro and modern gaming. Gamer Reese Jones says that games are designed differently and that retro games still have value.
Because back then, they came from a time whenever the games made money off of quarters in arcades, and so they still had lives and stuff, and so they were hard. And so you wouldn't be, I don't know, remiss if you spent an entire afternoon on a level, whereas nowadays they're kind of like, I don't want to say like dumbed down, but they're definitely easier.
Tierney Harvey, Multimedia Storytelling.
Whether it is nostalgia or personal preference, gamers have many reasons to enjoy these older games. Gamers say there is a demand for retro gaming, and with Nintendo's recent releases of the NES Classic and the Nintendo Switch, which allow players to try out older games, there are plenty of opportunities to try them out for yourself.